How to graft Eugenias, Jaboticabas, and some guavas. All these fruits are part of the same family, the Myrtaceae family. And this family has a reputation of not being easy to graft, not being easy to work with. So I hope this video, I'll show you some tips and tricks that's going to help you along your journey to graft some of these fruits, because some of these fruits of this family are some of the best fruits you can find. Like the one I'm standing in front of right here is one of my favorite fruits, and that is the Surinam Cherry, also known as the pitanga, where it's native to in Brazil. It's called the pitanga. Here we call it Surinam Cherry. Latin name, Eugenia uniflora, and I call it delicious. It's one of my favorite fruits. Look at these selections here that were made here. Look at that fruit right there. Whoa, nice. That is called the vermilion Surinam Cherry, and that is a selection. This poor fruit has a terrible reputation because people think it tastes like gasoline. It has a terrible aftertaste, and a lot of them do. A lot of the seedlings that were brought over and planted around here in the US, brought from South America, to start with, they had bad flavor. But over time, people made selections, and they selected really good varieties out of the thousands of seedlings that were planted all over the place in like parts of Florida, even here in Southern California. People started making selections, and the selections they made are some of the best fruits you can find because they have a strong, very unique flavor that you won't find in the grocery store, and you have to grow it yourself. And it's a flavor that is hard to describe. It has a complexity that a lot of fruit lovers really, really enjoy. So selections were made over the years, and they're some of the best selections, and they're some of my favorite fruits. Like the one I'm standing in front of now, this one right here, in front of me right now, this is called the Zill Dark Surinam Cherry. That's right, Zill, named after the same family, the Zill family, the family that created all these amazing mango varieties that are so popular nowadays. The Zill family also selected this little plant right here, right behind me, the Zill Dark Surinam Cherry. It was found on their land, and they were bulldozing their land, I think, and clearing and selling some of their land. And they were about to trash this tree, but it got saved by a guy named Har Madim. Shout out to Har Madim. He saved it. And then they started spreading Scions to all people all over the place, and I got some Scions, and I grafted it onto this tree right behind me. Let me show you the fruit. There's a fruit. It's a dark purple fruit. Oh, let's see. You can bring it into the sun so you can see it. Dark purple fruit, really complex flavor, really, really good. That is the Zill Dark Surinam Cherry. So these come in red. They come in purple like that. Come in orange, all different colors, all different flavors. The red ones taste like tangerines to me. These purple ones taste like berries. A lot of complexity to them. So they're worth cloning and reproducing. So I'm going to graft them. I'm going to take a piece of this, and I'm going to graft it onto a seedling of the Surinam Cherry. Move it right over. All right? Let's get started with the grafting. Let's go. All right, as usual, got my tools, got some pruning shears, got my utility knife to make the cuts, buddy tape, and parafilm grafting tape. That's all you need to get started with grafting. You don't need to get complex materials. You don't need to get special fancy stuff. All you need is 4 stuff to help you along your way. I'll link some of that stuff in the description of this video right below so you can find it online. So this is the end of May, Southern California, Zone 10. I graft these Eugenias, Jaboticabas, and Guavas year round. These trees are really tough, and they could take a lot of, once they get established, they could take a lot of heat, they could take a lot of cold, and they could take a lot of abuse. Some of these Eugenia uniflora, the Surinam cherry trees, I find inland in the San Gabriel Valley going wild, and that's a very hot place, and it can get cold in the winter too, and they could take a lot of heat, and they don't even need that much water. Super drought tolerant. Another major plus of these trees. Once they get established, they are set it and forget it kind of trees. You can get away with avoiding watering also, but of course, if you water, you're going to get more fruit. Okay, guys, I'm going to cut my Scion now. There it is. There's our cutting. I like to work with cuttings from the, oh, there was a fruit on here. Darn it. Dang it. You see this little fruit right here?
Oh, AJ.
Oh, man. This is so precious to me. I hate to cut away any fruit, but you have to do it. I'm going to cut away the top of the Scion, which I don't need, but I will save, you know, these leaves, I will save them because according to my Brazilian friends, The tea made of the leaves of the pitanga, the Surinam cherry, has tremendous health benefits. So I'm going to save these leaves. We're not going to waste that. But I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you why I selected this Scion. I'm going to show you the nodes because I think the problem that comes with grafting these, the Jaboticabas, the Eugenias, and Guavas, is that people have a hard time locating the nodes, the buds that you need to get a successful graft. But I'm going to show you exactly how you can locate that right now. Okay, let's see. The nodes are so subtle. They are so subtle, but that's a node right there. That's a node. That's a node. That's the little buds. You need that on your Scion. You need that on your Scion to get a successful graft, because what happens is when you graft this, that little thing, believe it or not, that little tiny little thing that looks barely like anything, but that is a node, that will pop through the grafting tape and form new leaves. And that's how you know your graft is successful. And the nodes are so subtle. Here's some more nodes right here. It's so subtle and so fragile. And the bark of these things, of these Eugenias, Jaboticabas and Guavas, are flaky. And that's why people have a hard time with it. See how it's flaking off? The flaky Scion right there. People have a hard time with this because the cambium layer, when I cut the Scion and do the grafting, the cambium layers inside here. You need that cambium layer intact, and it's hard to distinguish from the flakiness of the Scion. All right, but I'm gonna prep the Scion now. Let's prep the Scion. As usual, I'm gonna cut away the leaf stems. We don't want the leaf stems, but we do want the very bottom of the leaf node to remain intact, and I'll show you why. Because there's also a node right there. A new leaf will pop out right below where this leaf stem was. If you graft and the graft's successful, you'll get a new growth right from where the stem used to be. All right. In fact, this is 2 Scions right here. I don't need this much. This is about 10 inches of Scion, and I'm going to cut this in half because I don't need that much. In fact, I could do 2 grafts for this. That's all I need. This is about 5 to 6 inches of Scion. This is perfect length to get a successful graft of a Scion right there. 5 to 6 inches. All right. I'm going to wrap the Scion now with some buddy tape. We're going to stretch the tape. Stretch it, stretch it, stretch it. Cover everything except the part we're going to cut and graft. That part remains exposed because I'm going to cut that section and put it into the other tree. Okay? Let's go over here. Guys, these Eugenias, Jaboticabas, and Guavas are very forgiving about graft placement. You don't have to think too much about it. You can graft up high at the top of where the stems extend. You can graft down low where the trunks are. They're very forgiving. They're not like avocados and some mangoes where you have to be strategic with their placement to get a successful graft. These, you can graft pretty much anywhere and you'll get it'll work, all right? And that's why they're actually pretty good to graft and work with. So I'm going to cut here. I'm going to cut here because there's a good section of the branch that we can work with, and it was long, and this is a good place I want to have growth. So I'm going to cut away all this stuff because I don't need this stuff, but this section right here is going to take our Scion. All right, guys, I'm going to do one of my favorite grafts, it's probably my go-to graft. This is called the modified cleft graft. In the classic cleft graft, you would cut right down the middle, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to cut right down the middle because look at the mismatch. Look at the mismatch between my Scion, which is the variety I want, and the rootstock, which is going to take the Scion, which is going to take the graft. They don't match up. So I can't do the classic cleft graft where you cut right down the middle and put a splice graft and you put it right down the middle. So we're going to go off to the side right here and make them fit. We're going to make the jigsaw puzzle fit. All right? Let's do it. Here we go. Okay. See, I made a notch off to the side, not right down the middle of the stem of the branch. And something I just realized, and I just remembered working with this family, the Myrtle family. The wood on this family, the Eugenia, Jaboticaba, and Guava, the wood is so hard. It's some of the hardest wood that I've worked with, especially these Surinam cherries. The wood is incredibly hard, but that's a good thing when it comes to grafting, and I'm gonna show you why. Because our scion or rootstock are gonna hold each other. There's not gonna be slippage. They're not gonna slip around because the wood is so hard. They just cling to each other. All right. Let me cut my scion now. All right, let me cut my scion here. Okay. We're gonna make a modified cut here as well. I'm gonna go like this. Check this out. Cut away. You see how it's so flaky that it's hard to. You got to be a little bit careful here because the wood will start to flake away. So I'm gonna go long on one end. That's about inch and a half cut, and then I'm gonna go to the other side and I'm gonna make a very small notch, which is like about half an inch, maybe less. And I'm gonna tell you guys why I'm making so many cuts here. There we go. I made so many cuts right there because I want to make a fine arrow pointed tip. You see this? Long on one end, short on the other, and I want a pointy arrow-like tip. That's exactly what I want right there. All right, now let's insert. Just like that, we're gonna fit it in. And
So the long end is...
oh yeah, guys, the long end goes towards the center of the branch, and then the short end faces outwards. There it is. That's our fit right there. Now, all that's I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna take some parafilm grafting tape. I'm gonna wrap these two together. I'm gonna stretch this tape so that it can hold and stick to itself. And I made sure I aligned the scion with the rootstock, the edges touching the edges before I wrapped it. And I'm gonna wrap a few layers of this tape, and I'm stretching this tape because this tape is special. It sticks to itself if you stretch it. You stretch it first, then wrap it, it sticks to itself. And I'm gonna put a few layers because I'm smashing the scion and the rootstock together. They have to touch. They have to touch really, really well. So I'll put at least 5 layers here, but more like 8 to 10 layers of tape. All right. More tape. Make sure to stretch. We're almost done. Make sure there's no air pockets. There's no anything exposed to the air. Is everything covered? It looks like everything is covered. Yes. All right. We're done. I'm gonna squeeze it a few times with my thumb and my forefinger to make sure there's good contact between the scion and the rootstock. And that's it. It's all over. Now we just wait. Now is the patience game, the waiting game. But since we're in summer and these things are in active growth, or we're in spring, somewhere around that time, June, I should see results pretty quick. All right. And we should get growth pretty quick. Now I'm going to show you some results. I'm going to show you what a successful graft of one of these looks like. Let's take a look at what a successful graft looks like. Let's go. Okay, here's a graft I did a few weeks ago. That's where I made the cut, and I inserted the Scion into the rootstock down here. And look, we got new leaves popping through the Scion, popping through the grafting tape. We're on the right path. This is how you know you're on the way to getting a successful graft, when you see new leaves popping right through the grafting tape of your Scion. But look at this down here. You see growth coming up below the graft. This is rootstock competition, and we don't want that. So I'm gonna take these leaves off. I'm gonna rub them off, and that gives energy of the tree back into the Scion, which is the growth that we want. We don't want the growth below the rootstock. We don't want this. We want this kind of growth right here. Here's another one. Here's another growth. Look at that. Graft was done down here. We got growth up here. Yes, we're on the right path. Take out that. Here's let's go look at some more. Here's another one I did about a few months ago. So the graft was done there, and look at all the new leaves. Now this graft has stems and it has leaves. This is all graft growth. Yes. All right. Beautiful. And that's where the graft was done there. Let's look at another one. Let me come around here and show you another one. Was done there. And now we have a good growth up here. Look at all that new growth. Beautiful. Let me find another one. Oh, there's a few here. Oh, here's one that I did last year. Look at this one that I did last year. And the grafting tape is coming off. In fact, let me take the grafting tape off to show you what a healed graft looks like. This was done last year, 2024. Look at all the new growth emerging from this graft. Wow, this has like a lot of growth here, up here. All right, guys, this particular variety, I've been trying to get for a long time. This is called the Regina or Hegina. This is one of the legendary varieties of the Surinam cherry, and I'm very lucky to get it. Look at that. Nice growth coming out. And this is developed, you see it pop through the grafting tape, and now we have like a strong trunk, almost like a stem, good stem growth growing out from this graft here. Now, here's something very curious about these grafts, these kind of working with Surinam cherries and Guavas and Jaboticabas. This graft I had given up on. I had given up on this graft. I did this graft last year as well, and it turned black. The Scion turned black, and I said, there's no way this graft is going to grow. So, but I didn't cut it off. I didn't cut off the tree, and I let it. And what happened miraculously, this is a zombie graft. I call this a zombie graft because after about a year, after about 13 months, this graft started to grow, and I thought it was completely dead because hopefully you could see here, it was pretty black. Like this, the Scion went black, but I don't know what happened. It just started to grow. And I'm really, really happy because again, this is a variety that I've been trying to get for a long, long time. This is the Hegina Surinam cherry, which is a legendary Surinam cherry that was developed by a grower who collected these, and this was one of his favorites. So here's the graft, and again, rootstock competition coming up from below the graft. I'm going to take that away, and that gives energy back into the Scion. And look at all that growth coming out of this zombie graft. This is crazy. I call this the zombie graft because, yeah, it took about 13, 14 months to show signs of growth, but now it has taken, and the grafting tape is starting to peel away. But I'll leave this grafting tape on just for safety reasons. All right, guys, I love this fruit so much, so I'm going to do a lot of grafting for this. Let's look at this. Look at this amazing fruit. In fact, let me take this off. Oh, that came off really easily. That's a great sign. That is a great sign. Zill Dark, the Zill Dark Surinam cherry. And yes, let's do a very fast taste test on the Surinam Cherry. I'm excited. It has all the richness and the complexity and the deliciousness, deepness of flavor. This is one of the pinnacle of fruits, in my opinion. One of my top favorite fruits of all time. Strong flavor, complex flavor that you will not find at a grocery store. You gotta grow it yourself. That's why you gotta grow some of these Surinam cherries. It's a special fruit. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. As usual, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, leave me a comment, and have a good day. Bye-bye.